Boom. Hello legends. I'm Chris THRALL. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando. I'm also English Veteran of the Year for inspiration, or at least I was in 2022. And one of the questions I get asked the most with reference to things like Tommy Robinson's September the 13th Freedom of Speech Festival in London. We're not calling it a march. We're not calling it a protest. And the whole patriotic movement. One of the questions I get asked the most is, if it came to civil war, and it's not going to, folks, because we're going to have a look at what's going on in Nepal, and we got to steer clear of that. But if it did, what would the British military do, and whose side would they take? Let's get into it with fellow veteran, my good mate, Kenny. Kenny, how we doing, brother?
All right, chieftain.
How?
Or should I say, after your episode in the Atlantic Road, MacGyver?
MacGyver, yeah, I rode the Atlantic, didn't I?
With
It's good job, mate. It's good job you reminded me of that, because honestly, I very quickly forget these things. Yes, friends are. In January this year, me and my veteran buddy Louis, we rowed across the Atlantic Ocean in a 20-foot, I think it's a 21-foot rowing boat, to raise awareness of this awful rate of veteran suicide. We got this terrible mental health crisis in the veterans community, and to shine a light for the people out there who, like me, found it really hard. Well, I fell on my ass after leaving the military. I became chronically mentally unwell on the streets of Hong Kong. And as you know, as I said earlier, I've come back to have a very good life and become English Veteran of the Year for inspiration. So I just want to give back. On that note, Kenny, I hope you don't mind, mate. I just want to shout out this. Folks, I'm going to summit Mount Everest in April. I want to shine a light for those veterans who serve their country, but who have been led by absolute donkeys. They are not being looked after. The military cannot acknowledge that there's an issue with mental health in the veterans community, and that it is very often tied to childhood trauma. And I know many people watching and listening now understand what it's like to have a traumatic childhood. Could just be parental divorce, couldn't it? I say just. Could be a lot worse. Could be serious mental, physical, sexual abuse. And they don't want to admit that the people that they're recruiting, a lot of them, like myself, have experienced that. And when we leave the force of the safety umbrella, we have to deal with Civvy Street, and we crash on our ass. We start self-medicating, drugs, alcohol, etc. I want to raise awareness of why are we not talking about this, and I want to shine a light for those veterans out there and just say, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Fellas and fellasses, you know, you've got this. You just got to work a few things out. So if you can spare a £5, legends, there's a link below. And as you can see, people have been very, very kind. Some have been incredibly generous. I only asked for a £5. And I'll be also supporting a veterans PTSD trauma retreat down in Cornwall, and they literally gather people up when they are at their lowest of the low, and they prevent them, taking their own lives, basically. So worth a fiver, folks. And it's always good to talk about mental health because it affects all of us, doesn't it? So, Kenny, sorry, mate, I didn't mean to go on about that. But what I will just say again, friends, if you could like and subscribe, please. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. I'm starting to ask people more because I always wonder why I never got any subscribers. We're the best channel on YouTube by far. And yeah, now I ask people, we're starting to go up.
You're getting too near the truth. That's the thing.
Well, yeah.
You're too close to the wind, mate. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and we're near the truth, Kenny, because I'm 55 years old. I've lived, worked and travelled in 86 countries across all 7 continents. Studied in higher education longer than it takes to become a doctor. Read every book I can. Woke up massively after the events of yesterday, but were 25 years ago, if you know what I'm talking about. New York, Washington. Definitely was wide awake by the time all the scam, medical scam nonsense, right? And someone has to stand up for the children, Kenny, And if you're a proud English veteran, you should be doing the same. You should be looking at this country and thinking, hang on, why are they trying to ship people across the channel in dinghies as fast as they can get them in, and then laying on the silver service for them when they're here? Could that be to kind of destroy everything that me, my family and my loved ones ever worked for? It's destroy our communities, fragment our way of life, and destroy our services at the same time? And I'd say the answer to that is yes. So
talking about that, Chris, it's like, so you've got this big meeting. Let's just say this big meeting tomorrow, right? So we were talking about this before, guys and girls. Oh, guys and girls.
Now then.
We were talking about it before, and we were saying that people don't understand that once you go to a group, you're like an antenna. You're receiving the energy they're projecting, right? So you're getting sucked into this energy, and you're starting to create even more ripples. All right, so you're being drawn into this trap of self-identity of like Yahoo, I'm British, I'm this, I'm that. And no, you're totally disconnected from what the true reality is. You're being controlled and pushed into this narrative, and then they wait for the reaction. It's like the problem, reaction, solution, isn't it? It's exactly the same, only they're manipulating by things like this that you're looking through right now, this black mirror, and various other methods, that are affecting your wavelength. And it's massively what they're doing. What they're doing is off the scale mind control, but you're being sucked into a trap. They know how to play you, but like we were saying, what's it going to achieve? Then nothing ever gets achieved when we do stuff like this. We can go like you did. I've done it. We've stood in London. We've stood there with a banner, never again. Put on a display for the public and what have you, flag waving, met politicians, met university lecturers and that, and explained their big classes and stuff. And what's it change? Absolutely nothing. It's not going to stop this juggernaut that's plowing its way through, because people don't understand what's happening behind the scenes.
Well, let me jump in there, Kenny, and say, first off, friends at home, I applaud anybody waking up to the communist subversion or infiltration that we've been subjected to, and it's been a long time in the making. Anyone that understands things like the Bolsheviks, the Austrian painter, etc., I'll be careful of my words here, etc., will know that there's a lot more to this. We said earlier, Kenny, sorry, let me just clarify. I applaud people waking up. I applaud people wanting to get together to say, hey, something needs to be done about it, because it does. It's destroying us, Kenny. You know, people do need to, but also there's such cleverness behind this. These are the people, right? The same cabal, the same dark network, the same merchants that locked every single person on the planet in their homes, and they were brainwashed and indoctrinated enough to just go along with it. All of our military. Okay, to you legends out there that just said, F off, I ain't doing this, like I did, and carried on your lives as normal, I absolutely applaud you. I don't judge anyone that didn't, because a lot of people weren't awake then, Kenny. They thought, you know, there's a bogeyman out there. Let's just dive for cover, right, and do what the BBC tell us. But what we're saying here is this is a cabal that have their people in every single office of power in every country that's of note on the planet, and every single person, professional, doctor, nurse, lawyer, military, general, etc., went along with it. And I struggled as someone who founded the Global Veterans Alliance to stand up for the kids, to say, no, oi, you're not going into school with that fucking procedure, right? And with the wonderful Graham Moore, Daddy Dragon, who had a great result yesterday. Well done, Graham. We got a letter put together that we pinged to all the headmasters, and they started chickening out when you actually said, we're taking you to court if you touch them kids. Not, you can't blame it on the NHS or the school governor. No, you, headmaster, right? If you touch that, and what did they do? They started chickening out, Kenny, and it went on the internet. Oh, this borough of education have said there's going to be no more people going into school and touching the kids, right? Oh, that sounds a bit wrong, but here's the thing. We utterly struggled to get 60 veterans together. And how many millions of veterans are there in this country? This is the level of indoctrination we are facing, of unenlightened individuals, order followers. No criticism, Kenny. I used to be one, mate, right? So friends at home, what Kenny and I are here to do, we just want to outline as spiritually aware people who've done the journey, we've been through the mental health, we've both fought in combat on the front line in the Northern Ireland conflict. We both know what it's like to put our lives on the line and see our buddies die. But we also know what it's like to join up as a young soldier, what your motivation is, and what is it that actually triggers you to get onto the knowledge path, where you don't just follow somebody, whether that's a military person or someone on stage. So just to clarify, we're not slagging off anyone here. We have peace, love, kindness and empathy for everybody. That includes Tommy, who I consider a friend because he's been on my podcast. I might not agree, we might not see eye to eye on things, but that's because we've walked different journeys. So we just want to fill in a few blanks, Ken, don't we?
So military-wise, they're taken from the poor backgrounds mostly, for the infantry, that is, at my experience. Coming from the Isle of Man, the 80s, not much to do, not much in the line of apprenticeships and stuff like that back then. You had a YTS scheme, it was a lot of crap. Anyway, a lot of my friends joined the military, good on them. We all had good careers. They went on to be RSMs, captains, and whatever. I got out with 12, 13-year point. It was all right. But at that age, you join up and it's like the only thing left to do, really, just to Get on with it. And because they're targeting you as at a young age, even way back to when you were a cadet, joining at the school, you join the army cadets, you're getting kind of like indoctrinated into this thing, but you're from a poor background, they're targeting you from a young age. You go into this system and you may not be broken, but you're going into a system that is do it or there'll be consequences. Yeah, so do as you're told. I understand there has to be discipline, but a brigadier once said to me, discipline comes from yourself. You can't discipline someone. It's self-discipline. Yeah. So you're always looking at consequences, order followers. Yeah. If I say something, there's going to be consequences. Yeah. The moment you snap out of that is the moment you step back and go, you know what? I don't need this anymore. I'm going to go do my own thing now. I'm out. And then in life, it's exactly the same. Like the needlecraft that started. I was one of the many that turned around and said, to everything. And I don't care about the consequences, I don't care. It's a job at the end of the day. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. That's the moment you've got to switch on. That's the moment you've got to be a man and stand up. Stuff the consequences. This is here. This is now. Yeah, you're not going to do this. You've got to have a free thinking mind. Somebody can't tell you what to do, how to do things. Do it. Whoa. Hang on. Whoa. I'm not listening to you. You're just another entity giving it that. Your frequency's hitting me. I'm not interested. I'm not interested.
What you're saying is, sorry, Ken, we've got a lot to cover. So friends at home, forgive me if I interrupt, Ken. It's just, I got some key points, Ken, I want to cover. So in short, so what you're saying is you live in fear when you're an order. You're worried you're not going to get the next promotion, or you're going to get kicked out or time in the cells. You don't say no, sir. You say yes, sir, and how fast you want me to do it.
Yep.
What I want to do is just...
And Chris, you're getting bullied. And for anyone that doesn't say you don't get bullied, you bloody well do. It's a bully society.
Yeah, and you get massively indoctrinated because I joined up out of ego, right? What is ego? It is the lowest form of vibration. I'm just going to show friends at home a slide here. So this is the stages, folks. We're coming on look at this a bit more in depth in a second. But you've got the asleep there. That's blind belief in the matrix. Let me just make this a bit smaller so it comes up. Doesn't know what's going on. Obeys and buys stuff. Buys stuff thinking it will make them happy. Then you got your awake. They're the people that saw what happened in New York and Washington that time and went, hang on a sec, that ain't fucking right. What you're telling us is not the... Or they looked at that medical thing, they saw people going like that and went, hang on a sec, you're telling me I got to put that shit in my body, yada, yada, yada. That's called being awake. The trouble is with being awake is you cling to the matrix still. You still think someone's coming to rescue you. This is why individuals in public life get, massive followings, especially on social media and the like. Or you think, hang on, if we can get rid of that idiot Starmer, if we could get someone more like that Mr. Trump, a self-confessed business billionaire, right? There's a slight clue when someone's a business billionaire professing to look after your interests, isn't it? Right?
It's like Farage, isn't it? He's a merchant.
Farage, merchant banker.
And his National Front. He's got a picture of him in 1979, is it, with a National Front? So they're all the same. All the same.
Ken, let me just finish this slide. People who are awake, they think they know. They think it's about violence. And come on, what are you not going to fight? Yeah. And you're like, no, I'm not going to fight because actually I'm a lot more aware. And ironically, a lot more a lot more use when you know your enemy and you know yourself. Like Sun Tzu said, you're actually effective, and you're not manipulated and controlled under surveillance with every government, off what do you call it? All the intelligence apparatus on you, and people who complain. How many times you heard, "Oh, my family don't understand me. Oh, they wouldn't have me at Christmas dinner because I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't wear that thing," and all this sort of stuff. And also, people that are awake, they prep. Whereas people that are enlightened, who've exited the matrix, they practice something called gnosis, which is knowing, which you only get by tuning into the frequency in the universe, which comes in the form of photons from the sun. And you do it through a process called either meditation or fasting. All of this you find in it's been written down, the knowledge of the ancients, Kenny, right? And
yes, but we just found it today, Chris, and we were talking, guys. We were talking today. I found an absolute blinder. It was Albert Einstein, and he wrote a quick article on everything that Chris has been talking about over the past few months. Every point that I sent to Chris, and Chris was like, "Holy crap!" Every point that he mentioned, Einstein mentioned that everything he's done, 90% of it wasn't by coming from himself. It was by just switching off and just connecting to the universe. In other words, he was meditating. He was getting it from another force, and he was just channeling it. Yeah, everything that came through him wasn't him saying, I've got this idea." It was coming from somewhere else, and he put it in a quick essay. And every single point that Chris mentioned there about frequency, vibration, just like Tesla, was bang on the money. And I was like, "Have you seen this? Have you read this?" And he's like, "Is that from Einstein?" Yeah.
We'll come on to that, Kenny. It's interesting you sent me that. I'm 11 days into a water fast. So if you read scripture and you understand the allegoric code behind it all, which we'll come on to, you know that it says there's nothing that cannot be fixed through fasting and prayer. Now, prayer isn't what we've been brainwashed to think it is. Dear God, can I have a new mountain bike for Christmas? And can you fix Nan because she's on her way out? Mm-hmm. Prayer is just, it's an allegory for meditation. It means when you learn to switch off the noise, shut your eyes, the more in tune you get through lifestyle choices. So that's your pH neutral diet. That's your goodwill to all men. All the stuff you see in scripture, it's there for you. Friends, if you're new to this, we're not talking about religion here. You're not ever going to see me and Kenny in a church unless someone's probably died or getting married or something, right? This is nothing to do with religion. Is what keeps people in a low vibrational state and controlled. We're talking about emancipation from mental slavery, and there's a certain way to do it. And if we spread this ethos, then we wouldn't be in the situation we are now, because we wouldn't have people living in fear and going along with a narrative. And anyway, so prayer just means meditation, Kenny. It means shutting down, shut your eyes, your pineal gland kicks in, your body is an electromagnetic process, and it only works like electrolysis. Electrolysis. You've got to have the energy flowing through you, and most people block it out by shit diet, substance use, whether that's alcohol or whatever, and bad thinking. And fasting, what it does, it takes the pressure off your body because you've got nothing in your stomach to digest. Digestion takes 3/4 of the energy of the food that you eat, right? And what it does is when you burn through the food in your stomach, then you burn through the glucose, Then you get into the fat where all your toxins and your acid is stored. So you start to purify your body, but also all that excess energy goes boom to your pineal and your pituitary gland. This is your Kundalini energy, folks, for those of you that have done the reading on this. And bang, you fire off your pineal and your pituitary, and you do what they say in scripture, which is you go east of Eden, or you cast your net to the right side of the boat, which just means you access part of your brain called the right hemisphere, which you cannot do when you live in a matrix. And that's where you stop being a rational order follower like we was in the military, and you start to think for yourself, and you start to act in what is the best interest for the children. That is what I will do. You can cut my freaking head off if you want, and I will just smile at you as you do it, because I will stand up for what is right, and I will not be afraid. And the one thing we saw through that medical thing, mate, wasn't it, was fear. So just to finish off the chart here, Gnosis, really worth knowing. Jesus was part of the Ascend sect, and they practiced something called Gnosis, which was written down in the Gnostic Gospels. Gnosis is knowing. So when people say, "Oh yeah, how do you know that?" It's like, well, I did. You know, you can't explain it sort of unless you've been there, Kenny. What I wanted to peel back to is, I joined the military out of ego because I was homeless for the second time at 17, living in a Renault 12, and my mate bet me I couldn't join the toughest pass the toughest infantry training in the world. And I was so angry, I told him to F off, and I went down to the recruiting office. I was an angry young man. No one tells me what I can and can't do. I was as nervous as anything else, right? So I didn't join up to go and fight, to kill people, none of that. I just thought it was a way out of poverty and abuse, right? By the time I'd done that 8 months of training, that indoctrination process, I'm not here slagging on military or folks. Our military are great people. They're just on a different frequency. By the time I'd done that 8 months, Kenny, I wanted to kill. I wanted to prove my worth as a commando, be on active service on the front line and kill the enemy. Did I know that enemy is just another young lad from a broken home like me, sticking up for his country like I thought I was sticking up for mine? Of course I didn't. I didn't know any of that stuff, mate, you know? And the thought that I could have gone out there and committed this act, which to me now at 50 is freaking abhorrent. And also, well, be careful what I say. So that's what I wanted to cover. What did you know about life when you was in?
Nothing. I lived on a rock all my life, literally. I didn't see the world. I didn't meet people. I was only a young lad. I did, can't knock the military. It got you to go around the world and see things and do things. But at that age, you don't realise why you're doing it. You just do it. Again, because you're getting told to do it. You're in a position where you do as you're told, there'll be consequences. Same in life. I mean, you look back now, like you say, when you're 55, and you're like, there's no way I would have done that now. No effing way would anybody tell me what to do. No chance. No chance. It'd be like, do this. No. And just laugh at them. Not a chance.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Don't shut up. Go away. Bye-bye.
All right.
But the thing is, that's exactly what's happening in society now. You're being played, especially when you're saying about getting your body tuned in. We're getting hit by electronic magnetic fields that are just putting you in that low vibration state. You're getting bombarded every day with negative crap to pull you down. They don't want you to break out and realize what it's all about. They're sly. They really are sly. But like you say, is the military going to sort this problem out. I don't think it is. I think it's part of the UN. I think it's part of the UN agenda to have the UN army here to kick your doors in.
We'll come on to that.
I don't think these young men in hotels are here. You know, think about it, guys. Think about it. They're young men. What are they? They're like they said, they're not doctors and engineers, are they? They're not skilled. But what they are is good cannon fodder for the global agenda to employ them by a Serco or whatever, employ them from anywhere, give them a wage and say, here's a weapon, let's go. Like that, instantly. They come over here, they're getting looked after, better than the veterans, by the way. Better than the veterans. You know, we've got to beg and grovel and get charities, and you've got to do stuff like you do just to highlight these things with
Kenny,
the veterans.
question.
Yeah, these get it all. These get it all, don't they?
Question.
Mm.
All right, what colour of people form all the security in this country now when you go to an event?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
You know, I know this is not, folks, if you think we're racist, you're completely missing the point here. We love those people as much as we love, you know, all of you watching. But what we're saying is, when you look now at who is taking these menial, I don't mean security's menial. I've been a doorman on 4 nightclubs, I think. I'm not saying that. What I mean is these what are now becoming more menial jobs because the indigenous community is not doing them. When you go to an event, all the security are immigrants, and they're not very good because they don't have the experience and the rationality to go, okay, mate, you can go, you know, your family's all over there, is it? Yeah, just go and join them. They're like, no, I've been told not to let anyone through. And so the issue there is when you've got hundreds of thousands of young men of this age that have illegally entered your country, that don't have job prospects, that don't have an education. I know many of them have, and I'm not saying they're nasty people. I bet they're all good people. But the problem is, when you offer them tenner a day to join your standing army, you know, your newly formed army, they're going to jump at it, and they don't have the wherewithal to know the difference. I was going to say the difference between right and wrong. I didn't mean that. I just meant it's, you know, what we were like, and we were English people.
Yeah,
we would have thought.
Here it is, Chris. This is what Ben Griffin was banging on about years ago. Where a fighting force is sent to a foreign land, and they're indoctrinated into this belief that they're the enemy, you know. And he says, Gook, Chink, What, Paddy, all names given by the British forces to desensitize the enemy. Yeah. Now the enemy, they've flipped it. They're bringing it over here, and they're desensitized to the English. Yeah. So they've got no empathy, nothing towards you, the English-speaking, English-born people. It's a reverse role. The Tommy sketch, I think, you know, looking at him, not much of a, you know, I think it's all BS. Has he gone to prison? You don't know. You don't know the man. You don't know if he has or hasn't. He could have just gone on a holiday, and they've said he's been locked up for months. He's part of the controlled opposition. You don't know. Nobody knows. But the one thing and anybody else shouldn't do is get sucked in, like I say, sucked into this. You're not going to change it. It's not going to change anything. Everybody that's in Parliament, and like the guy was saying the other day on your show, this democracy, it just ruins it, absolutely destroys it. Nothing changes. Everyone that's in that Parliament swears allegiance to the crown, not the people. They don't give a toss about you. No one. They're soulless beings. They don't care. Yeah. Everyone, it trickles down, doesn't it? And you're getting fed this narrative. Oh, we've got to do something. We've got to fly the flag high. That's going to change things, isn't it? You know, I'll fly me flag, yeah, but I'm not going to, you know, it's like, I'm not going to follow a man down the street in London shouting and bawling. Why? Why should I? because I'm standing up for something.
You can understand, though, Kenny, why people are, those people that are aware of this infiltration, you can understand why they're so
frustrated,
worried, frustrated, possibly desperate, probably scared. You can understand why they see, and like I'm saying, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get together to share ideas and show community. That's not really the point of what I'm saying. The thing is that look at the narrative. Look how clever they sculpted the narrative in New York and Washington 24 years ago now, wasn't it? Look how clever they were, mate, and they've controlled it to this day. You've still got a whole military and not one, well, I mean, some have obviously, but the vast majority of that haven't even got a clue they're being played, and that they're just cannon fodder for the military industrial complex, which is controlled by the merchants. They control people through Washington, through the military industrial complex, through Rome, through the church, and through London by usury, money lending, fractional reserve banking, except keeping people in debt, bondage, slavery for their whole lives. And when you see how clever they were with that New York and Washington narrative, when you see the medical narrative, the lengths they went to gaslight people, to ostracize people, to say you're a bad and people, to make it difficult to go on the holiday that you fricking worked a year for, etc., etc. The fear that they churned out, the false science, because if you get into the science, it really gets clever, right? How can you not see that if you were so massively played on those events and millions are no longer with us, whether that's Iraq, Afghanistan, or in this country because they went like that, how can you not see that the narrative is always controlled? And the only narrative they cannot control is where? In here. That's why JC and any scripture, Buddha, Krishna, they said the answers are inside you, not outside you. And this is not saying, for anyone that's kind of new to this, we're not saying lay down and be sissies and don't do anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the cabal, the global network, are controlling all you good people watching, well, not maybe all of you, through something called energy, vibration and frequency. Hang on. 1 second. Yeah, hello? Hi, Mum. Yeah, I'm washing behind my ears. Yeah. Yes, I'm eating, Mum. Yeah, I've got to go. Yeah, see the ball game last night, Kenny? Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. So,
speaking of which, Chris, there's more people who call themselves men in this country are so wound up in bloody football. That's what peed me off as well. They're more interested in football and more passionate about football than they are about their own well-being, their own family, and that. What's going on in the world. They're more interested in football. I love that stuff. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, who was it that said opiate for the masses, didn't they? I think it referred to...
bread and circus. It's anyway, when you talked about the people say we need the armed forces in. It's like, right, okay, so our armed forces have been dwindled since the bloody Falklands conflict. Right, so what we've got 70-odd thousand armed forces, British armed forces, 26,000 of them possibly fighting soldiers that can actually go on the streets, most of which are in NATO, fighting being posted across the water at the moment, ready to kick off with Mother Russia. How's that going to go? Not very well. But we haven't got the troops to put on the streets anymore. It's not like back in the 80s and 90s where, you could get a quick reaction force out around Heathrow that time when you had a certain thing happened or whatever. You could have a quick clamp down. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I've thought about this for a long time, thinking, where's this going? Where's this really going? Like I said, you can shout and bawl all day long. It's all part of their agenda to manipulate you. But what's going to happen? And the way I see it is these people aren't sitting on their asses. These 1.4 million, let's just call them invaders. That's what they are. They've come here undocumented. You don't know if they're, broken. I'm not going to say what they might be, but algorithms will hit you. But let's just say unsavory characters. It's not going to end well, but it's not.
It doesn't matter who they are, what they are, what they're suffering from.
Well. They're getting played as well. That's the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Kenny, let me speak. It doesn't matter who they are. Sorry, it's just if we talk over each other, for people listening to headphones, it's a nightmare, mate. It doesn't matter who they are. The fact is, this is our home, and guests are welcome. But guests, you have a limited stay, then it's bye-bye. See you next year or whatever. It's obviously going to end in tears, and it is already. We know that. When you was in the military, what was your view of civilians? Did you, when you were a squaddy, did you hold them in high esteem, and you do anything for them? No. Were you there to serve them?
No, because you get told that there's the civvy Charlie uniform November tangos. It is what it. Yeah, I'll tell you, it was what it was. And I don't know if it's still going on today. Probably does, because it's a big indoctrination. But yeah, you're a club, aren't you? You're in a gang. You're in a gang, and that gang's detached from anything. You think you're something special. You're not. But that's what it is. You're being played again. You've been told. Yeah. You've been told over again. All those civvy. Like I just said, you're desensitizing people again. You're detaching them from reality. You order follow. There'll be consequences. Tell them this, tell them that. Like I said before, desensitize the enemy. Goop, chink, wok, paddy. Chink. All that. That's what it is.
Did you ever hear the expression while you served, fucking civvies?
Yeah, it's the other way around with me.
Friends, what I'm getting at, and again, this is the indoctrination you go. There's this bizarre thing where civvies just so. Sorry, I said it there myself, but there you go. It was an indoctrination. But you've got this thing where the public hold their military in this like mega high esteem, despite the fact we've just been in 20 years of illegal conflict in the Middle East, where we decimated the lives of millions of people, probably actually ended the lives of an estimated 1 million people. And no one has picked up on the fact that maybe that's not quite heroic. Maybe we shouldn't really be like worshipping the military like we do. But
nobody's thinking about the blowback.
But how would those civilians feel, the members of the public, if they knew that your military is indoctrinated to fucking hate you, to look at you as, it's not subhuman, but it's like a lower class of human, isn't it? You haven't done what we've done. We've all passed these courses to get in the military. I wear this hat. He wears this coloured hat. He wears this one. And yeah, I just thought when I heard someone point that out, I did chuckle. Friends, can I just say at home, Kenny's my co-host today. I got Kenny on because I thought it might make a nice break from me just presenting the show on my own. He's not my guest. He's not here so I can interview him or whatever it is you like to say. We're a podcast. We've always been a podcast. And it's just a chat between two people about interesting and good stuff that helps. Sometimes I talk a lot more, like I'm doing today, but that's because we've got a lot we want to get across to people. And I think it's really important that we get this right. And I've been on this a long time, Kenny, haven't I? When was I chronically like addicted to drugs and homeless? It was 1996. So 28 years I've been on this baby now, so I've learnt a bit, you know.
Well, you got me onto the pH level. You got me onto the green smoothies. And I'll say to anyone, that's your changes. I said it last time I was on 8 months back, didn't I? There's your change. You've got to change, like you say, from within. You've got to change your diet. Get off that toxic shite. Get it off. Don't stop going to the Mackie D's. Stop going to that crap. Stop drinking. Stop drinking, Zace. You know, whoa, it's like it's like you being a car and you've just give yourself an engine change in filters, you know. You've just cleared it. Like when you fast for a couple of days, you're cleaning your body. Your body's getting rid of all that crap. Yeah. You say when you get a bit snotty and what have you, and yeah, it's just, I've eaten the wrong crap today, or I had that yesterday or something. Yeah, we're all human. But
So
you don't repeat it, you know what I mean? You try and stay like it's a battle, but you've got to do little things at a time, like stop smoking, stop drinking, just move. It is hard. It is hard. I won't say it's easy for some people. It's not that I didn't find it hard. I found it just do it. Just get it done. What am I smoking for? What am I drinking for? Why am I sat around? Get to the bloody gym. Get to the sauna. Feel much better. Do you know what I mean? Little tweaks in your life make a hell of a difference. But you've got to take that step. And then once you do that, you start to switch on. You'll start to not take any SHIT off anyone because you just snap free of it. You're a free thinker. We're all free human, but we're all free entities living our own little lives. Switch on, boom. Just connect, go.
yeah.
Just stop being told what to do, how to do things. Just say no. That's why I thought this meeting tomorrow could have been done maybe on a beach or somewhere. It would have been a lot easier, you know, have a gathering, like a tribal gathering, you know, like we used to do before they shut them down, because we were connecting, weren't we, as kids in our 20s? We were going to these raves and that and connecting with universe, free, you know, everything was brilliant and lovely.
So is anyone at this gathering going to call out Israel, the machinery behind Israel, the Rothschilds formation, Balfour Declaration?
No, they'll just start shouting a lot of crap about, you know, the government this, the government that. He this, she that. We need to do this. We need to do that. Oh, do we? Where's this we come from? You know, I love this. We have to do this. No, we don't.
So
who said?
You mentioned something there. So I know what I've had to do to fight spiritual battle, to actually be a warrior, not just think that I am. And it comes down to discipline. If you learn self-discipline, at first you think you're denying yourself stuff and that it's hard. And then you realize, no, what I'm doing is cutting away the layers of indoctrination that life's put on me. You know, the drinking is normal, the eating shit, toxic carbohydrate, chips and pasta and rice and all that stuff, which is literally destroying your body by flooding it with sugar or glucose, which is just acid, right? And then when you get ill, what do? Rather than take responsibility and say, yeah, this one's on me, you know, I've been on the piss for the last 3 weeks. No, you blame it on someone else. That they made me ill, right? This is terrain theory. And what you notice is when you get up at a reasonable time, so you can have some morning routine before you go to that boss who you probably think's a dickhead anyway. When you make your bed, you learn that you've won the day already. There you go. Simple spiritual start to the day. Make your bed and show that you can take action. Then when you chuck yourself, you know, walk around the block, jog around the block, I try to, or go down the gym or have a swim or wheel your wheelchair or whatever, you're getting them endorphins to the brain. You're getting, more importantly, the air in your lungs.
Yeah.
And then combine that, if you can have a hot shower, cold shower, right? Most people will turn their nose up at that, Kenny, not realising.
Oh, it's brilliant. I'll go and have a sauna and then jump in a cold shower. Boom! Oh, that's ace.
It's gold.
I'll make sure.
It's gold. And people say, why do you want to do that? Why? Because I live in paradise. I have a paradise life. I rode the Atlantic in January. I'm climbing Mount Everest in April. And I used to be a homeless veteran. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I've got the most beautiful people around me now. And, you know, I've got a son that just... Last night, Ken, we went to the Cub Scouts, right? And they presented him this special award. They gave him the leadership award, right? And I'm not saying this to big me up as a parent. I was really worried I was doing a shit job, mate, like I think probably a lot of parents do. And I can be shit, you know? When I was on the piss, it was fucking stupid, you know? But luckily we communicate, and I've explained, you know, we talk about what my life used to be like, yada, yada. And they awarded him the leadership award, and the Arcala, you know, whatever you call the Cub leader, come over, and she was almost in tears, Kenny, saying, I can't tell you how much he's meant to me. She said, I'm going to miss him so much when he goes. He's just special, right?
It's funny, hasn't he? He just does his own thing, doesn't he? Doesn't have to be told. He just goes and does random stuff. Where's he going?
And that is, take action, make your bed in the morning. And that is where it leads you, Kenny. It leads you into paradise, mate, because the universe, when you meet the energy on this level by raising your own chrism, your sacred secretion, raising your vibration, as my good DJ friend Danny Ramplin always refers to it. Raise your vibration, he says, right? What happens is you meet life higher, and life comes to meet you and gives you a step up. Then you get higher, life comes to meet you and gives you a step up. That's why happy people get good shit done, and they go out the front door saying hello to people in the morning, not like looking down at their phone like 99.99999% of people in this nation do now.
Wasn't it a couple of times, like you got a prime example there, where people were stuck in this reality, and they said to you when you were running the length of the country, have you done the training? You went, no. And then you just do it. And then we're going to roll the Atlantic, and, oh, well, Chris, you haven't trained much and all that. You know, remember all these people that were saying that? You haven't trained much and all that? But no, but you still smash it. It's like, so people, there's always people that are just giving it that negative.
So
negative. They can't. You know, it's mad, isn't it? They look at you, they look at someone, they say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to run the length of the country. Oh, well, you have to do this. You have to train for months and do this and do that. And, oh, I don't think you do it. And then you smash it. And then, like, exactly what I've just said about the Atlantic Road. Oh, you haven't been training long enough and this time. And you just go and smash the record, you know?
I'm getting all the same for Everest now. Oh, you can't do that. It's like, I can.
Yeah,
but he's not here to talk about me. I don't exist, Kenny, but that's just another thing again, you know. The complete getting into the ego now, aren't we? But what I'm saying is, did you know any of this stuff, right, when you were in the military?
Not a clue. Not a bloody clue.
I was a million miles. If I show the chart, I was right in the matrix, third dimension, watching the news. We used to have the news, CNN or Sky, scrolling 24/7 in our office in the Marines, or in the guard room if we were on guard duty, getting that brainwashing from the merchants, because mainstream media is the mouthpiece of the merchants, right?
Watch your Coronation Street and
Yeah.
your EastEnders.
Eating my my diet that made me ill literally 3 times a year. I'd have flu or colds, right? Something I haven't had for 23 years now. And I was just right in that matrix. And then I had that wake up period, which was after what happened in New York and Washington. And I thought, oh, you know, something's not quite right in this world. We're all being used. But the problem was, I didn't realize that being awake, you're still in the matrix, because you're not elevating your consciousness. You're not doing shit. You think that you can stay the same, keep eating crap, keep drinking, keep being a fucking dickhead on social media and being rude to people that you've never even met, you know, not looking after your mates, not spending time with you think you know you don't have to do any of that, and the world's somehow going to change for you because you keep sharing videos on Facebook. And then the day that I took action, that's when it all changed, Kenny. You know, that is when, like, I got it, and I become a nicer person to be around and a better person. And I met your good self, met a lot of wonderful people, and started to actually raise the energy in a room or in the high street when I go out, rather than being negative and being into myself and my own dark worries and, oh God, you know, why do I feel different? Why doesn't life work for me? And
victim mode. Yeah. Don't do victim mode.
But the point being, I didn't know this when I was in the military, Ken. I didn't even have a clue. I didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah, they don't tell. They don't give you any. The military never. Well, they still bloody don't. They don't care about. They just want you in that job. If you get out, you get out. When you get out, they don't give a toss. It's just a job. Yeah. And when you get out, if you're broken, so what? You've got to jump through hoops just to get your war pension. It'll take you a year just to get your pension that you paid into. If you want to claim for something in the military, hearing loss, whatever, it will take you years. Yeah. They don't care. Yet they've got millions of your taxpayers, pounds, dollars, shekels, to spend on arms instantly. Spend on the arms industry all day long. Veterans don't bloody think so. Yeah, don't think so.
Kenny, on that note,
that's disgusting. Relying on charity. That's your armed forces for you. You are relying on charity. That's disgusting. That's your government for you. Don't give a toss. But
absolutely.
Like I said, we haven't got an armed. There's nobody coming to save you. We haven't got an armed forces to do it. So all these people in London tomorrow giving it that. What's the real solution? What's the real solution? Because the way you're going at the minute, it's just going to be chaos, which is exactly what they want. Chaos. Because they want
to implement martial law or whatever you call it, like they did out.
They want to lock you down again, cause chaos on the streets with these boat dwellers. Lock you down. If you implement your 15-minute cities and your digital ID, so they'll track and trace everyone.
And implement a militia made up of all the immigrants that are in this country that will work for 10 quid a day and still send half of that home. No disrespect.
That will not give one hoot about, like I said, the English person. Not one, because that's exactly, like I said, the roles have been reversed here. They're playing the same game. The British Armed Forces have done so much damage over the past 25 years in other countries, destabilizing them, you know, bombing the crap out of the whole country to the Stone Age. That it's flipping over, and these people are coming over here. Now, we thought we were the good guys because we're armed and we're the big I am, and we're going to do this. Now you give the weapon to them, and you pay them, and they're in your land. Now they're desensitized. Now they don't give a toss who you are, because you're not one of them. You know, you're not in the gang. They're from a foreign land. Do you see what I'm on about? No soldier that I know could give a toss about the Iraqis when they went to Iraq. No one. Because they're indoctrinated to go to war. Any war, just go. That's their job. They want to go there. They want to kill the enemy. They don't give a toss. They go home. After 6 months, whatever, they go home. Yeah. And they don't think about anything else. They just go home. Yeah. They're away from it now. And they maybe go back in a couple of years and do another conflict. And then they come home again. Well, now, guess what? They're on your doorstep.
Yeah. And also,
it's been reversed.
Yeah,
you've got to come up with a peaceful solution to end this. Otherwise, you're playing into their hands. We're on the cusp. I'm not going to get negative about it, but I'm just seeing it from the outside in. You see the global agenda. You see what's happening in Europe. They've already made the infrastructure straight through Poland from the docks. They're militarizing Europe, ready for that trigger moment, that flashbulb moment where everybody takes note. They've been so desensitized with Ukraine. Every red line after red line, every escalation ladder up the run has been broken and broken and broken. You know, you could say 15 people were wiped out on this, and people just go, well, next one. They just scroll off it. They've been desensitized to it. So there's going to be a flashbulb moment in Europe. And there's going to be a lot of stuff going on here.
Yes.
So,
can I just come in here because I just want to clarify for people that are like, you always get the people like, oh, well, what do you think? Like, just doing nothing about, and they don't kind of understand that. No, we're not saying do nothing about it. What we're saying,
what it is. Yeah.
What we're saying, friends, is the world is run by a cabal. The merchant class that network incredibly, and they have done for 6,000 years since they took over the money supply. There's a great book. There's a link below for my Amazon shop, folks. You can grab a copy. And what they do best, because they're a cabal. They practice the Kabbalah. Kabbalah is all about understanding energy, vibration, and frequency. And they're playing people through the energy game. And the way that they've got everyone to feel helpless, useless, yada, 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 hence these big marches or festivals or get-togethers, is by lowering everyone's vibration so much that they're not living their full life. And what you've got to ask yourself is how many people that want to band together to get a new result are actually prepared to do anything about their own vibration. How many people are prepared to get fit, to knock the booze on the head, or keep it moderate. This is not a lecture, Kenny. I fucking was off my head for 35 years. I wouldn't tell anyone else to do any different. But what I'm saying is, I always knew I'd have to step up to the plate at some point.
Yeah, no one's going to. That's what they're saying. They're looking for it. They're all going to turn up at London, looking for a solution.
No one's coming to save you.
That man on the stage isn't the solution. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Well, the problem is on that stage, it's all, how can I say, there's a certain small country in the Middle East that's controlling it all. Let's be honest, right? And I'm not knocking anyone. They're never going to talk about the Rothschild fiefdom, the Balfour Treaty. Mm-hmm. They're never going to talk about the biggest lobbyist group in America is the pro-Zionist movement, for a reason. And if you don't call out the people that are behind the illegal immigration and you keep pointing at the immigrants, you ain't a warrior and you ain't much good for this country, And all you're doing then is you're stirring the pot. You're stirring up the bigotry, the hatred. You're getting all the people that are never ever going to do anything to improve community, society. You're playing to their lower ego, and you're you're prodding, and like I say, I it's a tough one, Kenny, because on the surface it's good that people are finally actually doing something, but we've got to get realistic here. This is a cabal that have their people in every single place, and if you ain't calling them out, the merchants, folks, don't have to call them other names, friends. If you do, you're playing their game, because they've set up all their chess pieces so that if you use the terminology they want, they will blackball you, black sheep you, humiliate you, shame you in public, call you all their silly names that they've prepared, gaslight the people against you. They're the merchants, folks. Look at the ones, what did Bob Marley sing? Pirates, yes, they rob I. Yada, yada, yada. The merchant ships, wasn't it? The merchant ship folk. Learn your history. It's the same merchants behind it all. Folks, incidentally, there's certain words we don't use on this channel because if the general public, the normies as they're called, see them words, it triggers them, doesn't it, to cast accusations at you. So don't play the game. If you leave that in the comments section, my admin will they'll delete it. And if you're a repeat offender, we have to say goodbye to you. And that's a fucking shame. But on the platforms that we're on, you are responsible for the comment section. Okay, that's why people have to protect their platforms, because anyway, that's another thing. So just be careful in the comment section, folks. Yes, we understand.
I find it funny, Chris. Do you find this funny as well? So, record number. Was it 13 million? Let's just spend a pack 13 million in London. Okay. Who's paying for all this? Who's paying for those big screens, these big stages and these groups and all that? Who's paying for it? It's like, oh, there's this big thing on. What, he's paying for it, is he? I don't think so. Who's funding it? People are asking that. Who's funding it? Just like, who's funding the likes of Farage, the likes of all these donors and that? Who are they? And you look at it and you go, well, hang on. Strange, isn't it? That they're all, what? They're all into what? I can't say it on YouTube, but, I see it. I see it. Do a bit of digging. You can see it. It's once you're tuned into it and you can see that, who's behind it, you see them. These people own it. You're not good. You and me can't do this, Chris. You and me couldn't just rock up on bloody Downing Street and put a big fucking 50-foot screen up. It's not going to happen. You've got to get permission. You've got, you can't just do that, mate. It's not going to happen. Or you have a hell of a lot of money to do it and influence. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Just dig deep. Look at him. Like you say, know thy enemy.
Well, it's just, you got to know your history. You got to know how they took over the money supply. You got to know how they're playing everyone. You got to know how they've got their people in every single position. You got to know how they're incredible networks. You got to know that they've got their favorite strategies and tactics, and they work really, really, really well. They get people to govern themselves, afraid to speak, afraid to call, to call out. They're playing people through the military-industrial complex, through the church, right? So this is what we're saying, folks. We're not saying don't go and meet. Well, I'm not. And we're not saying that it's not great that people are awake. I just want to make people aware of what I've learned over the years, Kenny, which is, you got to look at the root of a problem, not just look at the symptoms. And immigration is just the symptoms. Keir Starmer is just a method by which the symptoms, manifest. You've got to look at who is controlling Keir Starmer. And, right, on that note, friends, I just want to give a shout out. If you want to come to the Arctic with me in first week of March, I will be taking you wonderful people on my Arctic Legends course. We're going to go up to the Arctic Circle. We are going to stay. I'm going to in this wonderful hotel. It's absolutely spectacular. We stay there, and we'll teach you how to ski cross country. We'll teach you survival skills, how to go through the ice and save yourself like we had to in the military. I've got 2 former Royal Marine Commando mountain leaders up there as my course leaders. And the last time we went, we had an absolute whale of a time. This is for all the people that go, Chris, I wish I was in the military. I'm like, well, now, here's your chance to come and find out. But moreover, it's spectacular, pristine country up there. It's absolutely amazing, friends, And if you'd like information, send me an email. Don't just put it in the YouTube chat, because then I've got to reply to that. And you're just better to send me an email. There's an email below in the YouTube information, or you can go to my website, christhrall.com. And yeah, great stuff. So
if you've got a holiday book, better than lying on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Better than lying on the beach, that, isn't it?
Yeah, spectacular. Right, can we get some likes and subscribe, folks? We got a lot of people watching. It would be absolutely awesome if you could like and subscribe. Just click the bell. It might not make sense now, friends, okay? I get that. But the penny will drop when you connect enough dots, and your children deserve this, What they don't deserve is to be led into a trap. More law, more security, more surveillance, etc., moving ever more to the 15-minute city, the digital ID, all the things that us military actually fought against and our forebears died for in them trenches. We're just given away to the cabal. Right, Kenny, let's just come on now to that piece that you mentioned. I've just got to get it up on the screen.
Read through it and just go in it.
Right, I'm going to read a bit. So, friends, this is what we're talking about. This is how this whole thing works, and what we need to do to kind of understand what's going on. Let me make it a bit bigger for everyone.
And this is Einstein, guys. This is Einstein. This is like Tesla. Only Tesla was pushed to the side. Einstein was given that pedestal. Yeah.
Well, Einstein was a Kabbalist, wasn't he? He was a puppet for the Cabal.
Yeah.
Tesla was your real boy, and he got sent into obscurity. So let me read some stuff, Kenny, and you can explain. So Einstein said, I didn't arrive at my understanding of the fundamental laws of the universe through my rational mind. Concerning matter, we have all been wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. Matter is spirit reduced to point of visibility. There is no matter. Time and space are not conditions in which we live, but modes by which we think. Physical concepts are free creations of the human mind and are not, however it may seem, determined by the external world. It's a lot to take in, but I get it. In the beginning, you read scripture, in the beginning there was the Word, wasn't there? Word of God. Word, energy, frequency, and vibration. What Einstein is saying is that energy, vibration, and frequency, which provides a spectrum, doesn't it? If when you lower that frequency enough, that it so light condenses into matter. So technically you don't exist, Kenny, nor do I. We're just a manifestation of the divine formed by light. That's it. That's an amazing thing, because once you realize we're all the divine, you don't exist, mate. Right? And I think this is a hard one to grasp, but then you understand that if we are all one consciousness, all one organism, that you and I are simply the universe experiencing itself subjectively, then what the hell have we got disagreement about?
Yeah, read on, mate. It gets better. How about these are the better. You continue, and it gets better.
And if we want to change our environment, which is what we're essentially talking about, we don't do it by marching and getting angry or whatever it is and giving our energy away. Although you could say that marches make people happy and there's community, you know, not disputing that. But moreover, that you have to affect the energy, don't you? You know, because it's an energy, vibration and frequency battle. And I guess, yeah, the merchants are always going to be there to try to turn that energy to their, you know, the rock festivals and the music festivals. They call that energy harvesting, don't they?
Yeah, because they play on the 440 hertz. They did that. Yeah, that's another story. But yeah, that frequency they play the rock music on is literally controlling you, putting you in that vibrational state. Read on, Chris. Read on, mate, because it gets better and it explains it.
Time does not exist. We invented it. Yeah, of course it doesn't exist, because there's only the now. Anyone out there that disagrees with that, tell me how we're not living now. Oh, that's gone. Hang on. Now. Oh, shit, that's gone. Now. There's only the now. There's no such thing as a past or the future. There's literally, this thing is expanding now as we speak, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really difficult to grasp that, and I won't even pretend that I do in any way fully, but I get the concept. Time is what the clock says. The distinction between the past, present and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking, swim in silence, aka meditation, and the truth comes to me. The intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. This is why, Kenny, the smartest people all went for the medical stuff, didn't they? You know, because the left brain indoctrination hadn't made the traverse to the right hemisphere of the brain, your peace, your love, your kindness, your empathy, and your most important, your understanding, your gnosis. So you can get the cleverest person, you know, some nuclear physicist or whatever it might be, and they haven't got any common sense.
Yeah, but isn't this fascinating now? It's going from Einstein.
Yes.
It's like, I'm out of buzzing reading it going, oh my God. Yeah, continue, mate. It's really gets better.
There comes a leap in consciousness, call it intuition or what you will, the solution comes to you and you don't know how or why. That's because when you're peaceful, you're quiet, you're sending energy to your pineal and your pituitary, you access the right hemisphere of the brain, and boom, you've got all this more brain power to suss out life. A human experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest. That was just the slide I just showed, wasn't it? A kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. You look at what's going on with factory farming, Ken, you can almost think of it as a cabal sacrifice. They love, if you read scripture, they really buy into this sacrifice, don't they? They've got
it's a massive sacrifice, isn't it?
you
On
know,
on an industrial scale. Yeah.
it's fucking hideous, mate, isn't it? You think of how many people will eat 3 meals a day and not stop once to spare a thought for that industry, you know. And I'm talking to myself here. I don't eat animals now. I haven't found the need to, but you know, there's something else going on here, mate. Always, we're always behind. It's only when you understand the medical narrative and the notion that, you know, there's no bogeymen out there that you start to realize the magnitude of the deception that we're under. But that's saying that thing, isn't it? So what I'm doing now, Ken, I was thinking about this in the gym this morning, is how am I affecting the whole experiment, you know? Because there is only the one energy. Everything you can't change that energy, you can't take that energy away, you can't create it. There's one lot of energy in this system, and there's one system. So you and I are the system, we're not Kenny and Chris. We're the system experiencing itself, one consciousness, and then you realise it's not about how much money I can get in the bank, or, you know, how fast my car is, or it's about what's better for you, what's better for all sentient life. Crazy, isn't it?
There was an experiment done, I think it was in Washington, or was it? No, it was New York. It was New York. It was about 10, 15 years ago, where they got a load of people in the center of New York, and they sat them down and they chanted and meditated, just put out the positive waves, if you were, and crime reduced in that day by a massive amount. That was well proven. They were just, your body's getting hit with the you know, like I say with Kelly's Heroes, negative waves, baby. You know, stop with the negative waves.
It's mad. Last time I did a talk was the Thetford Freedom Festival. And I said, you know, God's up there one day, he's bored because he hasn't invented Xbox yet. So he thinks, what can I do? I know, I'll create life. This is you taking a rib from Adam to create Eve, taking an electron, baby, atom, taking a rib, taking the electron, creating energy, and he creates life. And he's like, right, one day through this random, almost chaos, that sentient life is going to evolve from this experiment that I've created. And animals will be able to think. And as evolution goes further and further, some of them animals will become intelligent. The reason being, they'll have the ability to reflect, to hold memories and to reflect on them memories, rather than just to act out of survival instinct. And will there ever come a time when these smart monkeys, primates, Homo sapiens, will there ever come a time when they're clever enough to figure out that they are me? And that will be the end of all war and all suffering to a degree. And how mad is it that a fucking thick ex-Marine like me, I worked that out just by meditating. And here's Einstein saying it, Kenny.
Yeah, exactly.
Einstein said what I worked out because I just meditated. Now, how far away are we from that understanding, Kenny, when you see the division and the war and that everyone buying into let's bomb Russia?
Yeah.
and also the destruction of the planet. We're using up the resources that can never be put back.
Poisoning the planet massively, poisoning it, for not, for greed. It's like, what fucking...
Do you think then that civilization, indeed even intelligent life, can get completely wiped out and then has to start all over again?
The way they go, and they're just destroying everything. I don't know. Is it ushered in the free energy? Is it? Because the way we're going now, we're not going to have any gas or electric. Electric cars don't work, and it's like, who bought that up? Was it the Rothschilds? No, it wasn't. It was the Rockefellers. They got the oil industry, didn't they? And then they had it out with the, we can fracture water and have hydrogen cars. They nipped that in the bud. This free energy has been for thousands of years until the resets and whatever we have in history. Look at the churches. Look at the spires. You get above a certain height, you hit that ether. That's free energy. They don't want you to know that. And that's why I always thought, Chris, when I say that to you, I think all these pylons, the electric pylons, I think they're antennas. I don't actually think there's electricity coming through the generators, going through them. I think they are actually Tesla antennas.
Which ones, mate?
Yeah, you're right. Electricity grid. I think they're just antennas feeding off the ether and charging you for it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. Because you look back at ancient technology, you think, well, it's all towers. And, Tesla made the big tower before he went to the Paris show, the world event, and they were building the Eiffel Tower. He got with Eiffel, and him and Tesla designed it.
Question
the
that.
Eiffel Tower is a control grid.
Yeah,
it's a power supply. Yeah.
I question that, Kenny, because that's the technology they don't want us to have. They just want to keep burning the fossil fuel, keep their profit.
That's what I'm saying. They want you. That's what I'm saying. They want to keep you down. All the time. They can't have a free, enlightened world
also,
where nobody's fighting for oil, nobody's fighting for gas and resources and all that. It's free. They can't have that. They've got to have chaos. They're sick. They're sick people. They are.
It's also that Tesla's wonderful inventions probably wouldn't work now because of all the, electromagnetic frequency in the air.
Yeah.
It's so some refiguring there. Right, let's go to the next bit. We are souls dressed up in sacred biochemical garments. That's what I said. That's why I said I don't exist, Kenny. Soul is the energy of the universe, isn't it? And our bodies are the instruments through which our souls play their music, which is what I said, how life experiences itself. When you examine the lives of the most influential people who have ever walked among us, you discover one thread that winds through all of them. They have been aligned first with their spiritual nature and only then with their physical selves.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah, you never saw Jesus marching or protesting, did you? I mean, he wasn't adverse to throwing a few moneylenders out of the temple. It's funny, everyone quotes that. They think it's like, bashing the Jasters or something, but really it's the allegory for temple is here. That's why it's called your temples. This is your temple. And moneylenders are people that sit in that temple leeching from you, hence the allegory in the Bible, i.e. your lower vibrational thoughts. That's what that story means. It's not actually about like throwing people out of a church, but especially as Jesus never, what did Jesus say? He said your church is out there, didn't he?
Yeah, you don't need church.
Your church is that rock over there or that mountain or down by that river.
Yeah.
Because you take your church wherever you go. Why? Because that's your church, your pineal gland.
Yeah, that's your temple.
Let's have a look. Yeah, a bit more. The true value of a human being can be found in the degree to which he has attained liberation from self. That's a good one. That's what I said again, wasn't it? When it's funny, Ken. I'm here, so I'm God manifest. I'm the divine represented in this body. People call it Chris because you got to have some name, or it would be oi thingy, right? So we give each other name, but basically we're all manifestation of the divine. In order to access that experience on the level of which it's supposed to, you have to overcome the ego and the desire to be this fucking hero figure and and realize no,
you've got to drop it.
yeah,
you got to drop it.
And that's not easy. I find myself doing it, well, I probably do a bit of it all the time, every day, but I've really worked at it, Ken, because I used to I told this story the other day. I was massively into bodybuilding, If you think I'm 9 3/4 stone now, especially after I haven't eaten for 11 days, but what was I saying? Yeah, I used to be 13.5 stone in the military. I was 4 stone heavier, and I walked into the pub once, and my old man was in there. He was having a drink with one of his mates, and he looked at me and he just went, someone stick a pin in him like that, right? And I'm there, no one communicates, right? No, that generation, they couldn't communicate.
Yeah.
Nothing was said. So I'm stood there next to him with me pint going, doesn't he understand? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger generation, bodybuilding, pumping iron. This is something this is something to aspire to. This is like lifting dumbbells every day. This is the protein shakes and, a few bits and pieces and all this. And why doesn't it? Well, what it was, Ken, is my old man recognised I didn't need to do all that shit. I just needed to be me. Because I was,
what are you doing up there? Yeah, dickhead. Yeah, bye-bye.
So I said to my stepmom at the time, I said, why is my old man like treating me like that? Like with fucking disgust almost, And she said, and this isn't my ego talking now, I'm just telling you what she said. She said, Chris, when you walk down the street, heads turn. I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, they want to fucking fight or something, do they? She's like, no. She said, you're a very good looking guy, right? I'm 23, Kenny. This is the first time I'm being made aware of this.
Your ego's gone, whoosh.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I was so battered from an insecure, damaged childhood, I didn't believe that girls could fancy me. I was, they did a lot over the years, and that even then I still didn't, and the bigger I was getting, the smaller I felt. And that is the damage that living in your ego does, isn't it?
You're trying to aspire to something that you're not really. You're you. You're not something else. You're thinking you are something else, and you're trying to put that.
No, I was trying to project. I was trying to project this image or this person that people would love.
Yeah.
But ironically, the bigger you get, especially when you start doing the walk with your carpets under your arms and the t-shirts halfway up your biceps, you're actually pissing most blokes off, aren't you? Or you're certainly triggering the green monster in a lot.
Yeah.
And any woman that would want you for that isn't the woman that you want to have anyway. So it's not every time, but so this is what I'm saying. So now I really am trying to be that energy, the universe, do my best for this experiment, which is going let's be honest, it's gone horribly fucking wrong since we took our eyes off the merchants. Well, probably since we invented the wheel. You know, Stig, what's that? Oh, it's a wheel. Oh, what is it? I don't know. I've just called it a wheel. It's like a rock, and I put it on a stick, and it goes around. Yeah. Oh, I don't think anyone will ever have any use for that, Stig. Look how that's ended up, Kenny. It's fucked us, isn't it? You know, to the point we're now so addicted to this stupid fucking hunk of technology that we carry everywhere that we cannot rip ourselves away from it for anything more than 30 seconds.
I call it a slave device. That's what it is. I very rarely touch my phone, mate. I'm like, fuck off. Can't be bothered. I'll watch what I want to watch, put it down, and just that's it. I go out and everything. Don't need it. Don't need it. It's a phone. I don't need it. Oh, don't wind me up on that.
So Einstein. Oh, the other thing I was going to say. That's why it's funny with like my adventuring, because that's why I rode across the Atlantic in January, and I forgot about it. And Louis is the same. People have to remind people. I only remember it when people say, because it wasn't an ego thing. I didn't do it. I didn't. Whereas like back along, I might have done, like I joined the Marines and I passed them commando tests because, you know, I wanted people to be proud of me and look up to me and love me, you know, and think I was someone that deserved respect. Now I don't do anything for those reasons. I just do it because I enjoy it, Ken, you know.
I did that for the charity to help the veterans. You didn't do it for your ego, to say, look at me.
I enjoy adventuring, and if I can raise awareness of the veterans' mental health crisis, then you know it's good, isn't it? So last little bit then. So the true value of a human can be found in the degree to which he has attained liberation from the self. We've covered that. The ancients knew something which we seem to have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
They probably weren't controlled by the merchants, were they? And the more I learn of physics, the more I am drawn to metaphysics. So physics is everything at atomic level, that which can be quantified and understood. Metaphysical is that which cannot be seen. We're talking the ether now, aren't we? And the manipulation of it.
We're talking about that. We're talking, can I get that in focus? No. Orgone. We're talking the orgone energy.
Absolutely. Right, Kenny.
I have to go, brother, because I think I'm on 10% at the minute.
Yeah, okay. You haven't got time to go over to locals, no?
I'd have to plug it in.
Is that going to take long or?
No, take me 2 seconds.
Friends at home, can you like and subscribe, please? Like and subscribe. That would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat for being polite and treating each other with respect. That's what we need to do. I always say what comes out of your mouth is a manifestation of where you are or your keyboard. It's not that you're not hurting on another person. You're telling everyone, I've got unresolved childhood trauma and I've never dealt with it. And I'm going to project this internal hurt, pain and anger onto other people because I want them to hurt the way that I am. So the fact everyone's kept it really nice in the chat. This is a funny one, Ken. I don't like all that white hat stuff. I just think it's just another thing, but it's very kind you say, Jeff. Thank you. Right, folks, we're going to go over to Locals. Locals is our free speech platform, folks, so we can just talk over there. There's the link going along the bottom of the screen. It's a free platform, folks. The YouTube after talks, always for free. I do videos over there for people that fund me because obviously I can't work without funding, and they very kindly do. So we're going to Locals now. Don't forget the Arctic Legends expedition. Ping me an email if you want to come. Where is it? If you want to come to the Arctic Circle with me in March and do some cool...
Chris, people don't think you can't do it. You can.
Yes.
You can.
If it interests you folks, then do what I do. You've got to do it. Whack us a deposit and let's go. Don't double think this. All you need to be is moderately fit, right? Moderately fit. We're not looking for Rambos. At the moment, it's a bloke-only course. There's a lot of nudity, or there might be nudity in the sauna and stuff, but that's not that that's an issue. But I'm just saying, you know, blokes at the moment, we will run a one for the girls, obviously. We might even do a mix one if we think it might work. So register your interest with me anyway, folks. And the last thing I want to say is a massive thank you and I love you to every single person that's been kind enough to support my upcoming Everest summit. I'm not a rich person, folks. So I appreciate everyone that's helped support my climb, to shine a light for struggling veterans and to raise money for a veterans PTSD retreat down in Cornwall, who are really struggling for finances. If you can chuck us a fiver, look, folks, there's a link below. And that's it. I'm going to play us out. Massive thank you to Kenny, one absolute legend. Thank you very much to Terence Anchors, who's just joined as a channel member. If you can do that, friends, if you can support the channel for $1.99 a month by becoming a YouTube member, or join my Patreon if that's more your thing, that would be awesome. I'll play us out. Let's chat soon. Hope this helps, folks. Thank you.
Morning, legends. I'm Chris THRALL. I'm a former Royal Marines commando. Upon leaving the forces, ended up chronically mentally unwell, self-medicating, undiagnosed trauma, and homeless on the streets of Hong Kong. It was the toughest battle I ever had to fight, but without the support of the medical community, without self-help groups, I learned the answers to rebuild my life, go on to complete a series of extreme charity challenges to send a vital message out there for other veterans who are struggling. I've run the length of the United Kingdom, run across the Sahara Desert, rode across the Atlantic Ocean. Now I'm taking on my biggest challenge yet, climbing Mount Everest. If you can support me, friends, and continue to shine a light for our struggling veterans and let them know there is life after PTSD, I'll put a link below. If you spare a fiver, that's absolutely fine. And let's give our veterans the respect that they deserve. Much love.
No matter